Welcome, one and all, creatives, community, kind folks out there. Hello, welcome to RPG with DBJ. Today, as we are going to continue with the rest of the week, we're talking about angels and celestials in our tabletop RPG community. And today is Wednesday, so of course it will be World Building Wednesday. Well, we've really been world building all week, but whatever the case may be, that's the title of today's theme. So we are going to continue our deep dive into building a world where we use angels, celestials, whatever you want to call them, in your tabletop RPG game. So, why is sorry, I'm going to get the camera to focus. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to point. I know that's rude. So anyway, today we're going to come up with some things that we should, some basically large touch points, touchstones that we want to use when we want to build a world where celestials have a major foundation, major impact in our world, and then come up with some things. Hey, what's going on there, Em? So glad you can make it. I know, nice and early, man. A crack of dawn in the States, dude. So anyway, we here are going to use angels in whatever banner we want. Now, of course, primarily we think of celestials, and we talked about this Monday, Tuesday, that it's more of a Christian-based. Angels tend to have a Christian base to them, that they are servitors of a god or gods, and go about meting out justice or righting wrongs or something like that. Now, as displayed in such books such as Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica and other things, you can absolutely positively divorce the idea that the celestials are servitors of anyone or anything. Of course, bringing up the Valkyrie from Valhalla in the Norse mythology, that they too could be angels. It talked about using them as in Egyptology, in the mythology of Egypt. Good morning there. Oh, cold pizza in the morning, man. I got you on that one. Forget the coffee. I'm gonna have a cold pizza. Oh man, I love it. So thank you very much there, Ricker. The idea that we could use them, separating them. Check out the Discord. You got it. Separating them from the idea that they are in league to, there we go, let's click this. They are in league to a specific divine being or pantheon of beings, that they may in some ways, how can I say this? They could be, I see the picture. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. What a great, I don't know if you call that a selfie. Yeah, I'm gonna put it under the selfie category, man. So the idea could be that they serve the house, but they don't serve the lords. Kind of like the idea that you maybe have become a politician and you've won your position, or you were found to be of a royal heritage and you join the household of a royal family, that the celestial beings may operate everything. They operate they get the mechanisms moving. You just happen to take the throne, but they've been there far longer than maybe even the gods have. So in your pantheon of divine beings, maybe the gods have switched seats, as it were, sat upon different thrones, or been cast aside, or maybe even the godlike beings have disappeared, but the celestial beings may still exist. And then lastly, they could just be, they don't necessarily have to have a divine source at all. It could be the culmination of being a pious individual. If you're a cleric or a paladin, maybe they ascend to that. So you might want to come up with a way why do they exist? How do they exist? How long have they existed? Has it been a millennium, or has it just been 10 years and stuff? Yeah, Ricker says, yeah, like it. They serve the crown, not the head that bears it. Yeah, and much like our comic book and movie version of Valkyrie versus Thor, right? Like Thor is the god of thunder, but he doesn't command the Valkyries, right? And they're not air quotes gods, but they serve their function, and even to the point of challenging the gods, even though they know that Thor is far more powerful than they are. As a host, he would probably have a hard time fighting them. And then of course there's the political ramifications. If he starts knocking heads with his hammer against a bunch of Valkyries, then you get the wrath of the other gods and all that kind of stuff. So it's possible that they serve the crown in their particular functions, and it's possible the other gods, it's like a tenuous situation where the other gods want them to serve their function, but maybe not in the way that they're serving it. If that makes sense. Another thing that I think is a subtle but great method when you want to world build with using celestial beings. Of course, you have to have their opposite, right? If there's going to be angels and celestials, we have to go to the demons and the fiends and devils and things of that nature. But it doesn't necessarily mean they have to have that same origin of the fallen angel becoming a demon or a fiend. There may be some other relationship you may have in that. For example, if they, it could be, if you're a pious person, maybe you can ascend to becoming an angel. If you are, a rather evil person, maybe you quote unquote fall from humanity and become one of these things, or whatever origin you want. But I think something far more subtle is the idea that just as we sometimes, we discuss the thing like, well, if magic exists, technology would be different, or if magic exists, governments would be different or something. So one thing could be if celestial beings physically come down to the world, to Earth, to touch upon the ground and to speak and to act in specific manners, how does humanity change? What would they do? Would people become far more devoted, religious? Would they become zealots and force others to become that way? Would they give up their lives and sacrifice their lives in the service of these angelic beings? Would there be people who feel so much tremendous guilt about their past actions that they become like suicide cults because they know they could never live up to the purity of these beings? As everyone says, to quote Matt Koval, "We are dungeon masters, not writers or physicians." Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, I mean, in the sense that, we can't solve every situation all the time, and for the most part, we're not going to have all of the answers. But I think it's fun to poke those answers, if it were, if it was. Deadman Storyteller says, Selenia, the fallen angel from Magic Gathering, served one of the Weatherlight's crew until the crew member was turned into a vampire. I didn't know that. I'm not familiar with that, with the Weatherlight history and the Ravnica history of it, but I like where I'm glad that Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons are like combining together, because there's a rich history there, and what a great way to incorporate something that's like modern, instead of going back to not instead of, but having a modern mythology as opposed to like Eberron or Dark Sun or something like that. Yeah, and like Zev says, there's a lot of different Magic the Gathering sets. As a matter of fact, if you go to Wizards of the Coast, you can download some of the shorter write-ups before they printed a physical book. I'm always pulling this up, but before they printed this physical book, they actually have for shit. Sorry about that, guys. They actually have for free some of the write-ups of the other lands, Innistrad and Ixalan and some of the other ones. Yeah, and yeah, I actually yeah, you're right. Dead Man the Door. D&D had a card game back around Magic the Gathering when it was new. You're absolutely right. But then Hasbro purchased it all up. Zevron says, I think there's over 14 currently legal ones. For, I almost want to say, is that undercounting it? It's been a while. I mean, I started playing Magic the Gathering when literally it was brand new, back with Arabian Nights and the Fallen and Ice Age and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, there's a ton of them and great ways to draw on other worlds. Where, getting back to our subject, the angelic beings may come from or represent different worlds that have an impact in your world. So, like you said, yeah, exactly, that squirrel. So, because I brought up the Egyptological background of using celestial beings, so you don't have to limit yourselves to them having like a Christian Eurocentric style to them. It's like just giving them wings and glowing is not necessary. You don't have to give them wings. They technically don't have to glow. I mean, yes, they are. We tend to consider them to be goodly beings, lawful, neutral, or chaotic goodly type beings. But yeah, Dead Man says there are currently 2 to 3 active sets and 14 plus extended. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I posted that on Facebook that they're getting a Magic the Gathering Netflix. The Russo brothers, who directed the Endgame and Captain America Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier, are doing an animated series based on Magic the Gathering for Netflix. Well, at least it's coming together. We don't know if it's going to be true, but hopefully its success might push the Russos to do a movie. I don't know. Yeah, Zevron says in Ravnica, they are not holy, but pure white mana beings of pure order and justice. Exactly. And maybe using words like holy or blessed or grace and all that kind of stuff. Those are just that's thesaurus talking, right? Like, it's just terminology. But like in Ravnica, they live in and amongst the people. They are not servitors of one specific divine source. So how people react to them, whether like in Ravnica, they're just part of society. They are like soldiers and applying justice and order to a place, or whether they are inscrutable. They're like maybe they look and appear in such a nightmarish form that people can't really comprehend even looking at them. You're going to have to decide in your world or your setting that fact as well. And also, what are your angelic beings doing when they're not slaying things? Right. I mean, sure, you could have an eternal battle happening on the edges of society, of the world itself, and that, maybe people are trapped in city states or something. But what are they doing when they're not slaying things? Are they the arbiters of law and order? Are they just summoned when enough people are in trouble and need their help? Are they leading armies themselves? Are they affecting society? So you're going to have to decide that on your own. But the more impact they have, I would go for how much society will change. What kind of factions are there? Are there people who would rebel against these very powerful beings telling them what to do all the time? Or would these angelic beings try to hold people to a standard that no one person could ever achieve? And, the constant failure of always telling the truth, always being just, always, always lending a helping hand and stuff. I mean, that can get that. We already know that there are people in nearly every religion in our own world that hold people to standards that no one else can achieve. So is that a point of contention? I think those were great. I think those would be great ways to differentiate your world from others. Jonathan Crine says, for some reason, I'm imagining a rainbow hue for my next set of celestial homebrew. And again, we don't have to have our celestials all be on the same page, right? They don't have to have the same personalities. They don't have to all belong to the same faction or use the same powers. They don't have to look the same. They could have, from the outside, we may look at them as a united front, as one monolith, but internally they might have a lot of problems with each other and how they achieve those. The historian, the ones that hold the history of the world, might be in conflict with the ones that want to destroy it and bring it down, or something like that. I mean, you could go, you know, the ones that want to push vengeance and punishment upon others might be have conflict with the ones that want to, draw people back to the fold to forgive them of their sins, as opposed to slicing their heads off with a flaming sword or something. Zev says, interesting quirk. The original Ravnica angels had 4 wings. The newer generation angels only have 2. I wonder why. That's a weird. Slight side note about the idea of how angels look. They've been known to have multiple pairs of wings, and I understand that it makes sense that we kind of look at angelic wings or winged beings in general to be like to being avians, right? We see birds usually don't, we don't see birds having more than a single set of wings, one on the left and one on the right, and a tail. But angelic beings have been described as having multiple pairs of wings, and maybe it's a uncanny valley for us, kind of like someone trying to draw a Cthulhuoid creature. It's kind of impossible for us to draw them and then have our minds consider it to be something that's good or just. So maybe it's like an animalistic thing in us that we don't want to see our angels look too far beyond what the scope of what a pure human being would be. I don't know. I think so. Yeah, Zev. Zev says it's not an art thing. It's in lore. I absolutely agree with you that it is in lore, but you don't see a lot of artists adhering to the lore of it. They just more or less adhere to the avian nature of it. So maybe there's something about that. Professor Dogo says a fun twist is from Good Omens. Oh, I haven't seen that show yet. The angels and demons are super bureaucratic and mildly incompetent, despite supernatural powers, which is played up for jokes. Now, of course, in your game, you could play them up for jokes if you want to, but there's no saying that just because these are super powerful beings doesn't make them efficient or brilliant. There could be a bit of incompetence with them, or from our point of view, it could be incompetence, especially if they are fanatically drawn to their own motivations. They may ignore the end result of everything else, right? I brought up before, an angel that demands everyone to tell the truth could destroy a society because, we don't, in our normal, the way we interact with each other, we don't normally tell the truth in everything, because we want to be polite and we don't want conflict with other people. But an angel that demands that could dismantle a society, and then they walk away after. It's like, well, as long as they're telling the truth, I'm done here, and go on and start destroying another city state or something about that. Professor Douglas says more wings helps them fly higher, or maybe if they take damage to one wing, they can still fly. I don't think we don't have to apply science to it. Zev says the original angels in Ravnica were born of the original guildmaster. When the original Demir guildmaster killed her, her daughter took up her position and made new angels. They were almost extinct. Made them. See, again, angels don't necessarily need to be, I don't know, the innocents that have died and gone on and moved up to heaven or something like that. They could be their own race of individuals in your setting, just like in Ravnica. So they are their own thing. They're not tied to a divine being, which is all right. Rickard says number of wings equals status rank. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I think we've kind of gone away from the metallic halo floating over their heads kind of thing, but the wings situation Yeah, I could see ranks of that. Now, mind you, if you start talking about 7, 8, 9 ranks of angelic beings, maybe having that many wings might seem like it's a little bit out there. But yeah, two sets of wings, 4, 8, I could see that. Or maybe the first step might be gaining the wings themselves. And so you could be an angel. There could be a celestial being that doesn't even have wings, and they're trying to get them. I don't know. Zev says after Feather took over, angels had less wings. Feather and Aurelia, the current guildmaster, are the only current angels with 4 wings. They're the oldest. The wings in the Bible did denote status. I didn't know that. I who am I? Rickard says I would probably go up to a max 3 to 4 sets, which would be an excellent visual indicator, especially amongst the PCs. Like if you never explained it, but more than one angelic being arrives, and there's like 3 that have just a single set, and then there's like 2 that have a set of 4, and then there's like one being rising above them all that's got like a set of like six wings. That would easily denote who's ahead of who, even amongst themselves. Uh, Zev says there were angels, I think, with 9 wings, which is a strange thing too. Like an odd number of wings. Like what? I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying like I think in our brains we're kind of like what? Well, that's weird. All right, so been a while since I read the Bible. Last time I did Bush was president. Yeah, you know what? I one time uh was reading through the Bible to get inspiration for games and things like that, and just a little bit of a little bit of the soul searching and stuff. I think we've all been there. Um, Professor Dogo says 1 wing right in the forehead. I don't know about that. I think in the center of the back. Come on, man. Yeah. Vince says yes, there are. Oh, okay. So there were ones with a set of 9 wings. It's cool. Ricker says, yeah, if you go into the Lovecraftian looking angels, there were one with which was basically just a bunch of wings glued together. That's right. Wow, this is no, there was in the forehead. I didn't know that. And mind you, even many of them didn't even look humanoid. Like they weren't humans with wings attached to them. They, like you said, they were wings that were just they were wings that were just basically held aloft in the sky and stuff. So yeah, they were very Lovecraftian. Now, in terms of world building using these beings, I mean, going from yeah, I need more wings. Yeah, I need more wings, more. I said. Zevron says there's a reason in the Bible angels typically start conversations with "Be not afraid." Yeah, because yeah, what a wild thing to do. But yeah, absolutely got to start that conversation with "Be not afraid," because of course they'd have an aura of like peace and harmony, but just looking at them would probably drive you insane. If not run away or cower in fear or something. Um, yeah, and Vince goes on to say, "Yep, numbers in the Bible are mostly symbological. There's like numbers have meaning. So yeah, the numbers are something here in the States. It's kind of faded away, but in numerology has a great meaning, not just in the Bible, but in a lot of cultures. So you could probably pull in that as well in terms of like making ranks for your celestial beings. If you don't want to use a typically straight Christian Bible-ish look. If you wanted to do the numerology and the wings and maybe go with the colors, uh, um, talk about rainbow colors for them, so you don't have to go with the pure white. Maybe you might want to use other things of that nature, animals like Egyptology, the heads of hawks and falcons and wolves and bears and bulls and things like that are possible as well. So um Jonathan says, since we crossed the line of making new angels, how the heck do angels reproduce? because angels are purely magical creatures. Maybe angels reproduce not through biology, but through affection. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there are a number of angel reproduction tropes out there. One are the purest of the people that have passed become new angels. Some say that the death of innocent children become angels. Others are like warriors. The Valkyrie thing, right? The Valhalla, the greatest warriors ascend to a higher position. There's the idea that a mortal individual who has not passed could ascend to that, or the beliefs of a number of people spontaneously create angels. Those kind of things. Oh yeah, Rick was responding to Zev saying, they look like those descriptions I would definitely have needed to be not afraid, but tabletop RPGs have also taught me to not trust beings that tell me not to be scared of them. Yeah. The next time a pit fiend shows up, it's like, hey, take it easy. Don't trust me. I'm here to help. Yeah. Oh man. Vince is bringing up some of the numerology. 7 is godly all might. I'm thinking of like, yeah. 10 equals worldly all might. 3.5 antichrist. Broken 7. Man. 10 horns. Yeah. Yep. I do remember horns. Eyes were a thing as well. Number of eyes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I can remember. Zev says in Ravnica, Zev, the Ravnica, I'll say scholar here, says it's implied angels can make children asexually by exerting their power separately, but also through couplings. That's a possibility too, especially if you want your angels to be asexual. Maybe they like Jonathan brought up, maybe they reproduce through affection, so they could approach a mortal being and not necessarily have like biological sex with them, but to merge with them, and then either that human being gives birth to a divine being, i.e. like Asimar-ish, or they draw something from the mortal being and then produce them, which actually goes to say that we normally think of humans and angels, but what about the other humanoids in tabletop RPGs? Elves, orcs, half-orcs, goblins, dragonborn, gnomes. Like, what happens? Halflings. Are there angelic beings that exemplify those races? I would say probably, but we tend not to look at that. You know what I mean? Ricker says, I would have them like golems in that they get created for their specific purpose by the god or gods, right? Yeah, I'm with you that like the idea of golems being created and then living forever. It's a possibility that they may have been formed or spawned as avatars of that particular godlike being, which is pretty good. Oh man, yes, yes, yeah. Zev says, "Dead man and y'all got Eclipse phase, and I got Ravnica. Oh, there's no hate here, man. None at all, dude." Uh, yep. Jonathan Crine says, "Maybe Asmar or baby angels, of course. Who angelic beings could either be spawned whole cloth or they can grow into it. So the fact that maybe we haven't seen a lot of these angels because maybe most of the Asmars get killed. Maybe that could be a possibility that they don't grow to the point where they attain that ability, or humanity has corrupted the Asimar to the point that to achieve their purity, they haven't gained their wings yet, or maybe they have to call upon another angel to come to them or whatever. There could be any number of things. Vince says a lot of people think they would become angels after they die, and that's not in the Bible. I absolutely that is a trope, a thing. If not mythology, but for our own psychological need to know that when someone passes, they go on to become a guardian angel of sorts. So that could very well be a real thing in the world, especially since there are necromancers and the undead, it's a possibility that they're preventing necromancers prevent certain people from ascending to becoming angels, and that's why necromancers are hated. As opposed to there are good necromancers, and the angels might be thinking, not in our book. um, Zev says angels in the Boros become close to the soldiers they serve with. Occasionally, couplings happen. Yes, in I dropped the book in Ravnica. The Boros Legion are the warriors, the justice bringers, and in Ravnica, the celestial beings tend to be in the leadership position, and they tend to fall in love and have some couplings, especially if you think of angels as being asexual. They could, it's a possibility that only if they attach themselves to a certain mortal being does their genitalic nature arrive based on the desires of the being they want to couple with. I'm trying to be diplomatic with it, but I'm also trying to be open-minded about it. Like, it's a possibility that if an angel falls for, a heterosexual male, that their asexuality kind of shifts into a female. Whereas if they want to reproduce with someone who has, a different desire, that their body forms to that, which I think would be kind of cool. Kind of makes sense as well. Yeah, there are many stories about children of angels having powers. What are the Nephilim and the Grigori, I believe. I think the Nephilim are the children born of angels, and the Grigori are known as the. Oh man, I don't want to look this up. I'm not doing it right now. But yeah. Yeah, Vince says, yeah, Granny watched over me that night. This is a common trope, which may be a good thing to say. Say that if in your world that is the case, right? That people pass away, they go to a higher plane, they are then recruited to become angels. Why wouldn't an angel look like or be someone that the player character knows? It's a possibility a cleric might be summoning an angel, which happens to be their deceased brother, or an ancient relative, or their loved one, or even their child. That's a possibility too. You can play with that as well, and I think that would be great role playing fodder. I would say that an angel is related to the player character, maybe holding them to a higher standard. The player character may have been part of when this individual died, and may have some guilt in terms of why they passed on, even though they've passed on to a great place. Maybe they're there to correct the wrongs done by the player character, to help to push them in the right direction or something. That would be a possibility as well. Sorry, Rickard says, Phantom shows up. Be not afraid, bring the word of God. And me takes another look at Phantom. Cthulhu moves away slowly. Yeah, like, no thank you. I hear you, but I'm gonna exit stage right, because I'm gonna go insane if we have to keep having this conversation. Yeah, Zebra says, imagine angel kindergarten. Okay, count how many demons you slay. 1 demon, 2 demons, 3 demons. Good job, kids. Yay! All right, it's nap time. I don't want to take a nap. I want to slay some civilizations. Yeah, that would be a thing. Angelic kindergarten. Oh man. Vince says, Zevson, it's implied angels can have children with a female human in Ravnica. Doesn't go into details. Well, they're not going to spell that out, but I think we can imagine we can gloss over and do the ephemeral version of the couplings, or we can go into the biological, like, yeah, I can imagine that, hentai-ish anime version of what that coupling might look like, for good or bad. Vince says, how would architecture change if angels with permanent wings were more common? Wider doors? I would probably think taller buildings. No steps to the higher levels, wouldn't need them, right? If you can get to the 3rd floor without you either have wings or you've been invited there. There's no way. I mean, why would they need steps? Sure, you could have walls and like the typical forts and castles, but with beings that can fly, I was actually thinking about next week doing a whole series on flight itself, just flying in tabletop RPGs. Not necessarily angels, but just flight wings. But then I was like, this ties too much to angels. But who knows? Maybe I'll change that around. Uh, sorry. Jay Crine says, wait, 4 guilds in Ravnica splash white mana, but only 2 of them have angels in them. So what do angels have against the Selesnya and Azorius? And B, how the heck do the Orzhov get more angels? You know what? That might just be the dissemination of the population. Who's to say they aren't there? Hey, you know what? Maybe you pointed out something that we're not seeing, as in the lore isn't showing us, but they're really there, but they're hiding. Or maybe that guild did something to offend the celestial angelic like mindset, maybe. But I'm with you. Why wouldn't they be there? You make a point. Now it could be just because of the art, the way it's designed, that we just don't see them because the artists haven't put them in there, and they kind of wanted to make a delineation between the color splashing, like, with white with black, white with blue, white with green, white with red. They probably wanted to make a delineation, but yeah, you're right. You're right. Now I think Azorius would definitely have some angels in there. That doesn't make any sense. But Selesnya, yeah, I think they'd have some. Yeah, but you're like, how did Orzhov get angels? Yeah. All about that money. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Ricker says, for more context, Phantom picture posted in Discord a while back, reposting now for quicker context. Let's see a look at that picture here. I don't see it. No problem. I'll have it up. Yeah, Vince says lots of landing platforms. If you want to go more avian, maybe they're more nesting areas, like not just landing platforms, but maybe they live in these like outstretched, like the limbs of a tree, but built through like stone and metal and steel and wood. So to converse with them, their livelihoods, instead of just a big giant tower, maybe the top of the towers have these like jut out wings that you can only get to with high winds, and the mortals have to like balance themselves on you have to balance yourself on these walkways without handholds, because you can't have handholds in fantasy. You got to have the tall catwalks that you could just get blown off of and have nothing to hold on to. And maybe the angels live on the outer crops of those things, like a bird would, if you want to go more avian with it. I can't imagine them collecting straw, but I could imagine like soft pillows or something for them to sit in, maybe. But you could go even more esoteric with it if you don't want to make them humanoid avian. But yeah. Zev says angels are beings of pure justice. Selesnya believe by being of one mind they have no need of justice. Azorius believe law is justice. Angels disagree. Angels not aligned with Boros or Zorov. Yeah, but I think there's always I agree with you on that, but there's always exceptions to the rule, right? You couldn't convince me that there are 0 angels applied to them. You could say that on the norm they aren't applied, but yeah, there's always an exception to the norm. So yeah, there's always an exception there. Yeah. Zevs goes on to talk about Orzhov get angels when angels lose their sense of justice and believe themselves goddesses. Yep. They enter Orzhov, technically don't join them, and demand worship and taxes. It's possible for angels in every white aligner guild, but they'd be few and far between, and they'd be outliers. Yeah, of course. Again, it's the I want to play a drow that's good, amongst the evil drow that's in your setting. It's the same thing there. If angels, quote unquote, lose their way, they can join just about any guild if they really want to. Also, tiny, funny Ravnica quirk. Angels carry little bird snack purses on their belts that hold bird seed. They eat bird seed and breadcrumbs as snacks, which I think is awesome. I love that idea. The idea of that. What we last week we talked about nuance and detail and subtlety. That's the kind of thing I think that's a really cool little detail. When everyone's sitting down eating or something, and you see a very bored angel listening to people beg for their lives, and just start eating like a crumpled crackers, like, yes, beg for your life. Go. Oh, I'm almost done. Time to kill you. Time to slay you with my sword. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Now, something else that we would love to, we have to make a point of. Not only should we think of what these angelic beings are doing when they're not killing everything, what are they slaying, right? Like, what is their purpose in the world, right? Are they simply there to fight off demons or their incursion or something like that? Are they, maybe you come up with a different style of conflict, so they might be in conflict with like elemental beings or Cthulhuoid beings coming from the outer reaches of time and space. It's a possibility that they are on Earth to fight against the machinations of a larger war amongst the gods, and they're protecting humanity from a battle that the gods are going through. It's a possible, so you could create other conflicts with them, or the celestial beings are having a conflict amongst themselves, and they're creating their own little city states in defense against the other celestial beings themselves, and trying to recruit the more people they recruit to their side, the more powerful they become, possibly. Oh, that's hilarious, Zev. Zev says, just this angel with cascading flame for hair, eyes that look like tiny stars, rippling muscles, and magic holy avenger. It says, ooh, cinnamon raisin bread. My favorite. Oh, man. Draws the flaming holy avenger and is like, what are you doing? I'm making toast. Oh, man. What are those, sunflower seeds? I love sunflower seeds. Oh, wow. That would be hilarious. Hey, first level character fights CR 23 Angel. So what are you going to do? Are you going to roll initiative? Nope. I'm just going to leave a trail of breadcrumbs and I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Oh, man. Rickard says, riffing on Dogo's comment on good omens, different celestial branches arguing over which of them has jurisdiction, over a given event due to how a paragraph is written. And wow, I like that as well. For example, there could be ones for recording history or education. There could be ones that are supposed to train humanity to, as warriors, i.e. clerics and paladins. There could be a section of exorcists to cast off the undead. There could be another section that fights demons. There could be another section fighting elemental incursions or something. There could be a section that is out for just punishment, straight up punishment, or investigating, uncovering evil that's like hiding in the corners or something. And they could all be arguing with each other over who has jurisdiction over what, especially if they find like, you find the one special birth, the small child that has been given birth, the Asimar child that was the unwanted birth, but they know that the child will grow to be a powerful being or something. And who gets to raise the child? Are they left with the mortals? Is the child stolen away and taken up into the celestial courts? Who teaches the child how to use their abilities? So you could have some conflict with something like that, or you could just you could go the bureaucracy, right? When the people are arguing and they're like, listen, guys, I know you're angelic beings, but we need food and like clothes and our streets are kind of like in ruins. It's great that you can like take your sword and slash a castle down, but somebody's got to build them. Could you help us out with that? And they're like, that's not my department. You're gonna have to find somebody else for that. And they keep passing the buck, like, yeah, we just destroy things. We don't build stuff. That's up to you guys. That's your fault. Zev says, I've heard of a theory that archdukes of the nine hells were once angels that were sent down to wage war on the demons, becoming corrupted as the abyss spread throughout the hells. Isn't that the blood war that the devils were sent to keep the demons in check in the abyss, and then the abyssal demons are sent to keep the quote unquote angelic beings from taking over? I think that's what the blood war is about, if I'm not mistaken. But I've got to pull it off the top of my head. Zev says, so it would be interesting to have a celestial pack warlock who made a deal with Asmodeus or Asmodeus, if you want to pronounce it that way, or Zariel after her corruption. By the time the angels have sorted out who raised the child and have sorted all the paperwork, the kid has become a 25-year-old outlander adventurer. That would be so funny. Everyone just, the child's born, right? They start arguing, and they're arguing over each other, and so much time has passed by, the kid's 25 years old. They're like, they look around like, where's the kid at? The baby was just here. And it's like, have we been arguing for 25 years? And like, yeah, okay. So anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, now see what it says on page 2, because we already discussed, we already figured out page 1, flip to page 2, and you get like a 600-page document or something. Yeah, oh man. Rickard says, quote, they are one of us. That child belongs to the heavenly branch. Well, technically they were born on the prime material, so they belong to the PR department. So yeah. That would be awesome. And like you said, you kind of point out, Zev, right? We on the outside, we tend to make a distinction, especially like with the whole warlock, angels, demons thing, like, oh, you're either one or the other. But why couldn't you? I think you can make a case to either be a celestial pack warlock associated with a devil, or a demonic pact, a fiendish warlock pack associated with a celestial being. I think you could make the case that both make sense. Professor Dogo says the idea that angels have a PR department is fantastic. Hey, remember, without the angels, or not with it, if you don't want to just go straight up celestial beings and angels, they have to have agents that work for them, especially if you want to incorporate them from like level 1. So you could definitely reskin, recruit, hire some of these other creatures and just make them celestial beings themselves and just put them in your world. Who's to say that harpies aren't recruited members of I don't know, the nuns of the Golden Flame or something, that have thrown off their robes and now are like harpies, and that or gargoyles, or sphinxes, or some of those other human-headed, bestial-bodied creatures from the Monster Manual that are like recruited up to a status that works for the celestial beings. I mean, you could read a unicorn. There you go. Zev says unicorns are technically celestials. Unicorns, Pegasi, any of those things could actually be, I'll say, born from celestial beings, whether that's they actually created or spawned from, or something like that. Zev says the guardian angel greets them. We intend to teach you of the god Vecna's return and prepare you for this moment, but we have 2 weeks to save the world. Like, what? Yeah, that's RB. What? Wait, 2 weeks? You could have told me this years ago. Yeah, I like that a lot, man. It's like, yeah, we've come to a decision, and we're gonna need you for this thing. We're gonna need you to work this weekend. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh, I like that, Rickard. The child is about to become too powerful for any of the branches to be able to claim them. Ooh, yeah, maybe too powerful, or the concept of humanity having independence, and angelic beings don't. That once they become of a certain age, or they're born on the prime material, they have independence, and they're like, what are we going to do? He's going to make his own decisions. Yeah, Monty Hall Angel. Yeah, I'm level 7 at best. Yeah. Ever heard of a Monty Hall Angel? Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, I think we could absolutely like reskin or reuse some of the other creatures in your world as agents of celestial beings, right? Oh, Jay Crine says a new plot hook. Gargoyles have been undercover angels for 10,000 years, and somebody has to clean it up. Ooh, yeah, that man, could you imagine that happening? Like all of a sudden, every gargoyle that was carved into every building everywhere in your gothic world comes alive, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna have to clean up these cities. You guys have gotten away with this far too long. Yeah, their cover is blown. You know what? Why not? And you listen, you don't need to change the quote unquote alignment of the gargoyles. Maybe well, I think they're rated as like chaotic evil, I believe. So they could just be chaotic evil because they're just pissed off at humanity. Like um while the celestial beings have been above it all and still holding on to their righteousness, the gargoyles might be like, dude, we've been down here forever. We've seen these people are terrible to each other. I've had to watch these people like murder and rape and assault each other. I'm just going to go whole hog. I'm just going to rip them to pieces. I'm not even listening to you. I mean, that's a possibility too, especially if you take the concept that gargoyles are carved to look like a specific thing. So a gargoyle in your world could just be a carved statue with wings on it, as opposed to like the demonic faces. They could have like angelic faces too. So your gargoyle could just be a statue brought to life, like Venus de Milo or David that comes to life with wings, of course, and and starts to open up a can of whoop ass. Yeah, Rickard says, yeah, if you could just save the world over the weekend, that would be great. Yeah. Office Space for Angels, man. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Uh yeah, Zev says, yeah, cleric of mine, listen, I'm gonna need you to call that crusade. Yeah, if you could just stay punched in to do that, that would be great. Thanks, bye. Oh, hilarious, hilarious. Especially if the PCs are like blood covered, they come back from a major crusade, a battle. They've gained like 8 levels in this great titanic battle fighting evil, and they're like, and one angel's like, some comes down to them and appears before them in a golden light and says, "You're going to meet the great masters." And the PCs are like, "Yes, we're going to the heavens. We're getting raised up." And a big golden light brings them up in the air, and all of a sudden they're like sitting in a dingy waiting room with like with really that the elevator music playing in the background, like reading like old magazine subscriptions, and then get called into an office, and there's just like a guy in like a suit and tie who's barely looking at them and is like, I've got some paperwork I need you guys to sign, and it's just like sitting there like stamping paperwork. They're like, wait a minute, we've like slayed thousands of people for you. Yeah, just sign on bottom line. Yeah, well, we're going to get that notarized. Oh man, yeah. I love the idea of angels as the worst supervisor or boss. Yeah. What is the Dilbert Dilbert theory is that the safest place to put the most dangerous people in the world is middle management. So that's where all the angelic beings are. They're essentially, even though we're looking at them as divine creatures that are like really powerful, really they're just put there so they don't like disrupt the world. Oh man. They got forgotten about as the bureaucracy got buried in paperwork, so they just have been stuck as gargoyles ever since. Forever. Ooh, stuck as gargoyles since forever. Wow. You know what? You could really do the same thing with some changing the biology or the history of some of our other creatures. For example, the idea of like the goblinoid hordes, like the hobgoblin hordes or the bugbear hordes of creatures or orcs or something. They could have been frontline soldiers in a war created by angels. Like they maybe they used to be humans, but they've been modified for battle against great evils, and then the angels just left them there. And so now the only behavior they know is to rampage and fight and pillage. But when they themselves summon help, they summon angels and divine beings to help them out. And the PCs are like, well, wait, whoa. You mean the hobgoblins that have been like raping and killing are like defended? They're like supported by angelic beings. What the hell is that? Yeah. Yeah. The only magazines in the angel waiting room are Health Weekly. Oh no. Oh, I love that. I love that a lot, man. That's so cool. Yeah, you're sitting there trying to look for something salacious, and you're just like, eat healthy, be one with yourself. Angel porn. You flip to the centerfold, and it's just nothing but like fruits and veggies. Eat up, it's good for you. Cleans out your colon. Oh man. Rickard says gargoyled angel. Guys, can I like take a vacation? I need to stretch my legs a bit. Guys, hello. I've got to pee. Oh man, that's cool, Rickard. Like, yeah, I've been sitting here forever. Who's to say that you could if you want a world built literally with celestial beings, it's a possibility that maybe they're responsible for like 99% of the creatures that inhabit the dungeons of the world. So maybe your like your underworld, your Shadowfell underworld creatures have been trying to escape the blinding light of the celestial beings just to have their own. Maybe they've been almost like slave labor, and they're trying to escape the light and go into the darkness, and that's the only place they can hide from these celestial beings in the first place. Zev says the centerfold is a yoga pose. Yes, be one with yourself. Find that balance. And you're just like the one lawful good cleric there is like, ooh, I love it. Turn the page. That's hilarious. Zev says, tiny thing. I personally allow Asimar of any race, even tieflings. Had a tiefling with a pearlescent horn and diamond nails. See, I like that. We often tend to be very humanocentric when it comes to our mythology because we don't have a context. Of course, in real life, we don't have elves and gnomes and tieflings and dragonborn. So you don't often see them portrayed as undead. You don't see them portrayed as angelic beings. And so you don't see them portrayed as gargoyles or golems or any of the human-faced creatures that exist in the world, like manticores or harpies or naga. So I think even with world building, although maybe this is getting away from the celestial thing, but mixing other races with your angelic beings, I think it would behoove us not to do that. So mixing drow elves with angelic beings, mixing gnomes or halflings with some of your divine beings, I think makes perfect sense. Just like mixing them with undead, or why are there no tiefling zombies, or why are there no halfling faced naga or something like that? It's just kind of weird, I think, maybe, unless there's something specific to each race that makes them become something else. Celestial golems, that seems tight. Oh, so I didn't even go there, but Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't there be maybe celestial golems in places of worship, sent down on Earth? Like, the golem is just a statue until it's inhabited by the spirits of goodness, not necessarily an angel, but maybe they come alive or something. I don't know, or sent down as uh, as like Justicars or Archons or something, you know. Zeb, you're bad. Zeb's like, it's not even the ladies bending, it's just them activating their chakras. Go, yeah, you go with that. Angels are middle management, devils are business CEOs, demons are politicians. Ooh, wow. I kind of like that. You know what? I mean, you now, mind you, yes, I know that's being tongue in cheek, but you could really you could take that and expand upon that, and it would be kind of hilarious to play like 7 games until your players are like, wait a minute, wait. Are you are angels like middle management in this world? And you just sit there twiddling your fingers like, maybe, I don't know. I could be. Yeah, it could be, yeah. Rickard says, to be fair, a world with that kind of celestials does make devils and demons look way more viable. Almost even okay, on a personal Grognardian note, I've always had a problem with tieflings. A, because they didn't exist when I started playing the game, but B, that human beings would accept them into society. But looking at it that way, it makes perfect sense that humanity would be like, yeah, they're not that bad. Um, um, Zev says, in Jewish myth, the golem is a holy thing created by God. It is why they get upset. Golems are monsters. Ooh. Yeah, Zev says 70% tongue in cheek, 30% homebrew. All right, baby. All right, love you. I made that payment. All right, thank you. You're very welcome. All right, baby. Love you. Bye. Ricker says, as always, what feeling or flavor do you want to achieve? Is it served by being humanocentric? Is it best served by a lot of celestial involvement, etc.? I absolutely agree with you, Rickard. Like, it does depend on what kind of flavor you're looking for. Are your celestial beings few and far between? Are they as air quotes common as a warlock patron? That meaning that they only get involved rarely, but people know they exist, but they don't touch our lives too often? Or do they have a huge impact? Like, if you look in the sky, are you seeing them fly over in like sorties and like fighter jets or something? Like do you see them pass by all the time? Which this is kind of going to be a subject for tomorrow as well, in terms of third pillaring it. But yeah, it depends on how much involvement you want them to have. And it could be going the opposite direction of having other races having their own celestial reflection. It could be other races do not have a celestial reflection, and they may not like humanity because they have brought this celestial reflection down to Earth. Like the halflings might be like, listen, I don't know why you human beings even created these things, let alone imagined them into existence. Like, why would you do that? Undo says Driders could be lost angels in service as punishment. I like the idea of Drider like celestial beings, not just reserved for like avian creatures, but like spiders, scorpions, snakes, wolves. Why not? I mean, I think that makes perfect sense to be, and of course, yes, I know there's demons and devils that already exist in the game, and you can discover a lot of those, but why not? Or maybe since the abyss has so many levels, maybe there's a newly fallen celestial that has gone down there to make their own place in the world. So there's a plane of the abyss filled with celestial beings who have seceded from the upper planes into the lower planes to join them in their endeavors, or has decided to throw off the shackles Why not? I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. Zev says, I always saw Driders as lost angels. I always hated that they were considered lower beings despite being super high level. Yeah, Driders. Yeah, oh, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Like it's weird that a Drider would be punishment, although maybe that's propaganda. So Loth finds certain drow that she raises up to the level of becoming a Drider as her angels, and then the other drow, knowing that they've got left behind, spread propaganda that's a cursed way of being. So they could just be liars. I mean, that's also a possibility as well. Yeah, I could see that. Zev says, in my stories, humans are typically a scourge and need to be dealt with like a plague that can talk and is very petty. Dude, we're talking about tabletop role-playing games, not reality. You need to calm down. Not messing with you, but yes, yes, humanity tends to be the thing that ruins everybody else's good time. So, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Says, yeah, you're being cursed to look like me, like your goddess, and be stronger. What? Yeah, I mean, the drow could just be spreading that as propaganda amongst themselves, knowing that they failed to rise up to that level. And Loth is just like rolling her eyes, like, really, guys, damn it, I'm trying to raise you up to my level, and you're oh. So yeah, that could be a thing as well. And remember, what we as creators hold as true doesn't necessarily mean that's what the people in our world hold as true. So we created our world, so we know the truth of what's going on. Like, we know where the angels are and the demons are and the devils and their whole conflict and the elemental beings, and we're going to bring in these other things. But humanity, the people in your world, like we were talking about in Ravnica, the Azorius and the Orzhov and the Selenia and all these other organizations, the Boros Legion, all that, they could be spreading disinformation either on purpose or by accident, because someone spread certain information that got around, whereas the players in your world may think one thing because the people in the world believe that thing, but in reality, the situation might be different. So the celestial beings being horrific, or the celestial beings being perfect, or being just or honorable, could just be a lie. It could just be rumor or myth or whatever terminology you want to use to rationalize why people don't know the actual truth, whether it's a lie that people are trying to propagate, whether it's something that just helps people psychologically, helps them, Yeah. Zev says that I hears that it was considered a punishment because you need a goddess blessing to be that good, and you need to be raised instead of being naturally good. But that's lame. Yeah, I hear what you. Rickard says, plot twist: Loth is chaotic good and have embraced the works in mysterious ways mantra, and the Drow's just misunderstanding everything. Ooh. That's a great idea too, man. Like yeah, we're Loth could have just created the Drow, or kind of like blessed the Drow to do quote unquote good works, and she's just screwing it up. Oh man. Loth is the joy from MGS3, and the Drow are the Patriots from MGS4. I'm not sure what my acronym translation is ruining on me. Shit, my brain. Why is my brain not getting it? Loth is trying to stop wars, and the Drow misunderstand everything she says. The entire series for Metal Gear is one woman intended for world peace, and no one understands what she wanted. Ooh, yeah, hey, exactly. So anyway, guys, of course we went past an hour because we always do that, and Zev always bringing the greatness along with everybody else. Rickard, thank you guys for joining me. I am DBJ. This is RPG with DBJ. Thank you guys for joining me. I have to get off to work. It's a possibility that I might try something. Final 26? Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's always a great thing when you what's another concept in video games where a great evil takes over the world because the whole purpose was they were trying to unite the world to stop an even greater evil kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, metal. Metal Gear Solid. Thank you. Jesus, my brain was. Oh man. Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 4. Yeah, we're getting past 15. Exactly. Anyway, guys, everyone have a great one. Thank you for joining me. Everyone have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.